Attention passionate Green Bay Packers fans. Latest news, something big is happening in the NFC North and it could change the game. We're talking about a direct impact on Green Bay Packers' path to another Super Bowl run, a power shift that could leave a division rival stumbling for years. We're bringing this to you firsthand. But before that, if you're a true Green Bay Packers fan, subscribe to the channel to strengthen this passion even more. Show that you're also part of this family. Let's help each other reach 1,000 subscribers. Share with your friends and Green Bay Packers fans. Let's get to the news now, folks. If you've been paying attention to the NFL landscape lately, you know that the Green Bay Packers have been making some serious waves, and not just with their on-field performances, but also with their bold moves in the trade market. This season, the Packers have been signaling that their future is now, that they're not just building for a distant tomorrow, but are ready to compete right here, right now. And one of the most exciting developments has been the acquisition of Micah Parsons. Yes, you heard that right, Parsons, the star linebacker, the game changer, now in Green Bay. This move sends a loud message to the entire league that the Packers are all in, that they're serious about contending immediately. So, what exactly has been happening this season? Well, the Packers started off with a bang, announcing their presence with authority in the first 2 games. They took care of business at Lambeau Field, hammering the Detroit Lions and Washington Commanders in front of their passionate home crowd. Those wins weren't just about scoreboard dominance. They showcased the young core of the team, players like Jordan Love, who's been growing into his role as the franchise quarterback, and a defense that, when firing on all cylinders, looks formidable. The energy, the speed, the enthusiasm, it all pointed to a team that's hungry, that's ready to seize its moment. But as many fans know, the NFL is a game of highs and lows, and the Packers soon faced some tough challenges. After those impressive wins, things started to slow down. They suffered a disappointing loss to the Cleveland Browns, and then, perhaps more painfully, a tie with the Dallas Cowboys. That game against Dallas was a real test, especially on the defensive side of the ball, where the Cowboys managed to put up 40 points on Green Bay in Week 4, a performance that left many fans scratching their heads. And the blame was pointed directly at the defense, particularly at the absence of Devonte Wyatt. Now Wyatt, a promising first-round pick, has been having a breakout season, but unfortunately, a knee injury in Week 3 has slowed him down. And with that week-to-week tag hanging over him, the Packers are now looking at their options, realizing they might need reinforcements before the trade deadline hits on November 4th. Here's where things get really interesting. The Packers have their eye on Cleveland Browns defensive tackle Shelby Harris. And it's not just because Harris has been performing well this season. It's also because of the circumstances surrounding his contract and his availability. Harris has been a solid contributor for Cleveland, ranking 25th among qualifying defensive tackles with a 72.5 grade on Pro Football Focus. He's been disruptive, generating pressures, and making plays against the run. During the Browns' upset victory over the Jets in Week 3, Harris made a noticeable impact, recording 1 pressure and 2 run stops. That game really showcased what he can bring to a team like Green Bay, which is in desperate need of interior defensive line depth. Now let me pause here for a moment. Pause here just for a second. If you want the YouTube algorithm to keep recommending the latest Green Bay Packers news to you, it's super important that you leave a like on this video. Go ahead, it's quick and it makes a big difference. Thank you. Now let us continue with the big reveal. Okay, back to the story. The thing about Harris is that his contract is pretty manageable for Green Bay. He has a $2 million cap hit for the rest of the season, and with around $1 million in cap space available, the Packers could make this move without long-term financial repercussions. Bringing Harris in would reduce that cap space to about $6 million, but it wouldn't affect their ability to make other moves or sign key players down the line. But why Harris? Well, the Browns are struggling a bit this season, sitting at just 1-3, and that puts them in a position where they might be willing to trade some of their pending free agents if things continue to go south. Harris, along with other veterans like Malik Collins and Mason Graham, could be on the trading block, especially if Cleveland is looking to rebuild or reset. And Harris, with his proven production and experience, could be exactly what the Packers need to bolster their run defense and pass rush, especially with Wyatt's injury clouding his status. Now, let's talk about what it would take to get Harris in green and gold. Looking at recent trade history, we see that deadline deals often involve mid-round picks. Last year, the Seahawks traded Roy Robertson Harris to Jacksonville for a sixth-round pick in 2026, which gives us a benchmark. The 49ers, meanwhile, made a smaller trade by acquiring Khalil Davis for a seventh-round pick. Harris, with his experience and current production, could probably be acquired for a similar or slightly higher price. The Packers might be able to secure him with a sixth-round pick in 2026, which isn't a huge price to pay considering how much he could upgrade their interior line. This move would also help address some of the gaps left by previous drafts. Remember, the Packers weren't able to pick Derek Harmon before he was taken by the Steelers in April's draft, so adding a player like Harris could fill that void in a more immediate way. Harris's versatility and ability to generate pressure and stop the run make him a valuable piece, especially in a division where teams like Detroit and Minnesota are always looking to attack up the middle. And let's not forget the big picture here. The Packers, with their limited cap space, are looking for smart, efficient moves that give them the most bang for their buck. Harris fits that description perfectly. He's affordable, experienced, and proven. Plus, signing him on a short-term deal wouldn't have long-term implications, giving Green Bay flexibility to keep building around their core in the coming years. Imagine the impact of adding Harris alongside Wyatt, Carl Brooks, Colby Wooden, and Nazir Stackhouse. Suddenly, the Packers' defensive line becomes more robust, more versatile, and better equipped to handle the league's best defensive lines. Of course, there are still questions. Will Cleveland be willing to part with Harris? Will the Packers be able to negotiate a deal that fits within their cap and roster plans? It's not a guarantee, but given the current state of the team and the league's trade deadline approaching, it's a move worth watching closely. Harris's experience, combined with the Packers' need for interior disruption, makes this a storyline that could have major playoff implications if it comes to fruition. Looking ahead, the Packers have a lot to prove in these final weeks leading up to the trade deadline. They need to tighten up on defense, especially in the middle, to avoid giving up big plays like they did against Dallas. They also need to find ways to keep their offensive momentum going, with Jordan Love continuing to develop as a leader and playmaker. But the defense, particularly the interior line, is where they can make a real leap, and Harris could be the missing piece. Now, as we wrap up, I want to highlight that this season is shaping up to be one of the most exciting in recent Packers history. The young core has shown flashes of brilliance, and with strategic moves, they could turn this team into a true Super Bowl contender. The addition of a player like Harris would send a clear message. Green Bay is all in, and they're ready to fight for another championship. The NFC North is fiercely competitive, with the Lions, Vikings, and Bears all vying for supremacy, but the Packers are positioning themselves to be right there in the thick of the fight. And now, Green Bay Packers fans, I want to hear from you. What's your take on this? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your opinion matters so much to us and to the Green Bay Packers. And don't forget, I'll be back soon with more updates, so stay tuned for the latest Green Bay Packers news. So folks, keep your eyes peeled, stay passionate, and let's see what moves Gutekunst and the front office make before the deadline. One thing's for sure, the Packers are not just playing for this season, they're building a legacy. And with the right moves, they could very well be on their way to another Super Bowl run, making this one of the most thrilling seasons for Packers fans in decades. Thanks for tuning in, and as always, go Pack Go!